Anyone who's ever had children knows that when your wife, significant other is pregnant, it's one of the most exciting times. Then over the next 9 months, it's one of the most nerve-wracking times because you want that pregnancy to go well and you just want a healthy baby. You don't care if it's a boy or a girl. You just want it to be a healthy baby. Crandall Pera has actually devised a website, and it's online, called pregnancyandbirth.com. When you go to this website, there's nothing about our firm. It's an informational guide to get couples from when they first find out they're pregnant and super excited, all the way through to a successful delivery. It was written in conjunction with a certified nurse midwife, and all of the material is extremely helpful. I would encourage people to go to that website so they can learn more about their pregnancy. However, we've also seen, unfortunately, that the pregnancy can unfortunately go wrong, and more importantly, the delivery can go wrong. These are the two areas that we usually see that occur. So first of all, when you're pregnant, the doctor should be evaluating the growth of your baby. They do that in a number of ways. They take the ultrasound, where they take that wand and the cold jelly and they look at the baby. And they're looking for anatomy, but they're also looking to see what the birth weight is. And then the other way they do that is they take a measurement, just an old measuring tape, and they measure the woman's abdomen, and that's called fundal height. And so it's expressed in centimeters. And if you're, let's say, 32 centimeters fundal height, then you should be right around 32 weeks pregnant or in gestation. The reason why those two things are important, the fundal height and the ultrasound and making sure you know what the baby's weight is because if you go to deliver that baby and the baby is too big, that baby is actually going to get stuck in the birth canal. It's a medical term called shoulder dystocia. And the physician should, through the ultrasound and through the fundal height measurements and through some other testing, they should know if your baby is too big to be born naturally or vaginally. And so we do see cases where the warning signs were there for that physician. And in that situation, when the baby's going to be too big, they need to say to mom and dad, hey, listen, we can do a cesarean section. We can take this baby out early before there's any damage done. And they don't do that, unfortunately. So they go ahead and do a normal vaginal delivery, and the baby gets stuck in the pelvis, and they can cause significant nerve injury to one of the arms to the degree that the baby, as that baby becomes an adult, will never be able to use their arm again. The other issue that can occur is if the baby's stuck in the birth canal, they're kind of in between their two worlds, the world in the uterus when they had oxygen from mom. They're kind of leaving that world, right? And they're going outside of mom, but they can't breathe. So when the baby gets stuck and has shoulder dystocia, we also unfortunately see cases where the baby's lack of oxygen leads to brain damage. So that's number one. We always want to look at the prenatal period to see if they estimated the fetal weight. The second problem that we see very frequently is that throughout the labor process, your baby's heart rate and the contractions are being monitored by what's called electronic fetal monitoring. We use EFM for short. That's the device right by the bedside that's giving the squiggly lines, and usually they have a belt across mom that has transducers that is giving the printout that information. That information has so much knowledge to give the delivering physician, if they would only look. It gives the baby's heart rate. It gives mom's contraction pattern. More importantly, if the baby is starting to feel some distress during the delivery process, it shows abnormal patterns in the baby's heart rate. And it's actually kind of simple in the sense that if there are enough abnormal patterns, the physician has to say, you know what? We're going to stop. We're going to do a cesarean section. Before any damage occurs to your baby, we're going to get the baby out. What we see frequently, even though those warning signs are on the strip right by your bedside, the nurses or doctor or midwife are not watching very closely. And what are they doing? Maybe they're too busy. Maybe they're delivering too many babies that they were assigned. Maybe they think the strip's going to get better, but it doesn't. We don't really know all of the reasons why, but what we have seen is a worrisome pattern of the care providers not noticing all of these abnormal signs on the EFM, and they just plunge ahead with an hours-long delivery. And then what occurs is the baby is born and the baby can no longer breathe. And there's a resuscitation that occurs, but unfortunately in a lot of those instances, either the baby dies at birth or the baby has been without oxygen for so long that they suffer permanent and severe brain damage. And we handle many of those cases. It's called cerebral palsy. Those are some of the toughest cases to handle, not from a medical standpoint, but from a human standpoint. Because number one, literally just a decision to do a cesarean section is the life changer for that child for the rest of their life. They will forever not be able to walk, forever not be able to feed themselves, forever not be able to go to school like normal kids, simply because that decision wasn't made to deliver earlier by cesarean section. The second thing that I see is two very loving parents who absolutely love their child that has cerebral palsy, but they will raise that child for the rest of their lives because that child cannot independently take care of themselves. And it's a tremendous stressor on mom and dad and the entire family unit, all because someone wasn't looking at that EFM properly. And so if you've had a situation where the baby was caught in the canal, maybe has nerve damage, maybe has brain damage, or if you have a situation where you believe they should have done a cesarean section earlier and they didn't, your child has brain damage now, or unfortunately passed away shortly after birth, it's important to call us so that we can get the EFM, we can get the prenatal records, we can get the labor and delivery records, and look at all of these together to determine if your prenatal period and labor was handled appropriately.